My name's Shanara, and welcome to the first ever Makeup and Musicals where we do our makeup and we talk about musicals. So if that sounds like a bit of you, please do consider subscribing. And to kick us off, we are going to be discussing the absolute blockbuster juggernaut that is the Wicked movie. So we're going to kick things off by talking about Ariana Grande. And I'm not going to lie to you, I was one of those people who was actually quite upset when I found out that they cast Ariana Grande, because I thought they were just casting a big name, and Wicked doesn't need it. Wicked doesn't need a big name. People will come because it's Wicked, you know? And let's be honest, we all know that Ariana Grande can sing. Ariana Grande is one of the most vocally gifted people of our generation, and I don't think that's arguable. Whether you like her music or not, the woman can sing. But I just was really not sure that she'd be able to act it. I didn't think that she had the chops. I didn't think she had the range. And don't get me wrong, I know she started on Broadway. She started in 13, the musical, on Broadway. But she's come a long way since then. She's not the same Ariana Grande that was in 13 as she is now, you know? She is a completely different performer now. And let's all cast our mind back to Hairspray Live. She was not good in Hairspray Live. And I just didn't want her to do that to the Wicked movie, because this is the Wicked movie, you know? It's the movie that we've all been waiting for like 20 years. So yeah, I was quite upset when she was cast, because I didn't think that she was going to be able to do it justice. But I don't mind holding my hands up and saying I was wrong, because she was phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. Not at any point did I feel like I was watching Ariana Grande play Glinda. I was watching Glinda on that stage, on that screen rather. She did such a good job at bringing the character to life and becoming somebody else. And she made me forget that she was this big pop megastar, which I think is quite hard to do when you're celebrity casting. You know, everybody's going to watch you and be like, oh, that's my favourite celeb. But I think she did a fantastic job. I also want to mention that I believe she took acting lessons in order to perfect this role, which is absolutely incredible, because I think that when you are somebody who is as famous and can sing as well as she is, she could probably have just got the role on the chops of, well, I'm Ariana Grande and people will come to see it because I'm Ariana Grande. So for her to go out of her way to take acting lessons to make sure that she was doing this role justice, I think that's actually highly commendable. Really appreciate that she didn't pop it up. I think that she really stayed true to the fact that this is musical theatre. She didn't Ariana Grande it. And yes, she took some extra high notes. Yes, she added a riff or two, but it wasn't too over the top. It wasn't too much. She didn't completely popify it. She kept it almost exactly true to the musical and the score that we all know and that we all love and that we wanted to see replicated on the screen. Which again, when you're dealing with a massive pop megastar, she could have done. But I think because Ariana Grande is a musical theatre kid, she's a musical theatre kid at heart. She really cared and she really wanted to do this role justice, not just for all of the other musical theatre kids out there, but for the musical theatre kid inside her, you know? It would be absolutely a miss if we spoke about Ariana Grande in Wicked and didn't mention Popular. Comedic genius. Absolutely fantastic. That when she just goes, did they have brains or knowledge? Don't make me laugh. They were right. Brilliant. She put so much into that, and it just scratched a bit of my brain, and it just felt right. It was just absolutely beautiful. I don't know where it came from. I don't know if they told her to add that, if she just improv'd it, but it was fantastic and I love it. No notes. I will be taking no notes. I am also 100% not a crier. I don't cry easily. It's not me. I just don't cry. But I would say I started crying exactly 0.005 seconds into No One Mourns the Wicked. Her performance of that was so gut-wrenching and so unbelievably heartbreaking. And I've seen Wicked on the West End probably about 5 times, but where in the movie you get so much closer because you can get a close-up of their face, she just acted it in a way that made me remember that she's singing this about her best friend. That is her best friend. and everybody's singing and dancing and screaming in jubilation that her best friend is dead, and she's got to stand there and pretend that she's also happy. And then somebody brings out a effigy and she has to light it on fire and watch her best friend go up in flames. And it was heartbreaking. It was absolutely heartbreaking. I was crying such ugly tears, such ugly tears inside that theatre watching No One Mourns the Wicked. And I cannot wait to see the No One Mourns the Wicked reprise at the end. If that was my reaction to the first half, I cannot imagine what my reaction to the second half will be. And I feel like it goes without saying, but like it also doesn't. Vocally, she was just, I said it before and I've said it again, she is one of the best singers of our generation. Absolutely incredible. So clean, so crisp, so beautiful. That isn't me saying that nobody else can do those things, but that is me saying that she did them very, very well. And even though overall I really, really did like Ariana Grande's performance, there was, I don't know if this bothered anybody else as much as it bothered me, but there was just one thing. She had this pose, and I'll insert a video of me doing the pose somewhere. But she had this pose, and every single time she did this pose, her foot was sickled. Every single time. And every time she did it, I was sat there watching it going, just point your foot, Ariana. Just point your foot. Just point your foot. Like, why did nobody tell her that her foot was sickled? Why did nobody? There were casting directors, dancers, choreographers, and nobody went, oh, by the way, Ariana, your foot is sickled. Just point your stupid foot. But I feel like the fact that I had absolutely zero faith in her performance, and the only bad thing I have to say about it is that she sickled her foot, I'd say she did a very, very good job. Honestly, so excited to see where part 2 leads her and leads her acting choices, because part 2 is so much meatier. There's so much more to give. There's so much more to happen internally and externally. But overall, she was fantastic. And I believe I heard him say a quote, something along the lines of that they auditioned everybody and anyone could have played that role, but there was one person who was meant to play that role. And I completely agree. Ariana Grande took such good care of that role. She just really cared about it, did her research, she did her homework. She just really, really took care of Glinda for us. And I think she absolutely smashed it out of the water. Absolutely smashed it out of the park. Now, if we're talking about the Wicked movie, we have to mention the absolute queen, fairy goddess that is Cynthia Erivo. And you can probably tell how I feel about her performance from the way I just introduced her. The woman can do no wrong, and I cannot say a bad word about her. She is blooming phenomenal. She has been doing bits in musical theatre for, I'd say, over 10 years now. And I am so happy that she is finally getting all of the recognition that she rightfully deserves, because she is one of the greatest talents of our generation. Imagine being hooked up to a harness, doing your own stunts, flying through the sky, holding onto a broom in a corset and belting out Defying Gravity at the same time. I'm sorry, what? Are you superhuman? Like, I find it hard enough to sing Defying Gravity sometimes just stood completely still, and she's somersaulting and flipping through the air. Mind absolutely blown. And I think, to be honest, I just had absolutely no doubt that she was going to absolutely smash it. And of course, she absolutely did. She played it in such a way. And again, I've seen the show quite a few times, and this is absolutely no shade to any of the performers that I saw on the West End. But as I said before, because you are further away, it's harder to get the nuances of their facial expressions because you're further away, and of their performances, again, because you're further away. The way that Cynthia Erivo chose to play Elphaba just reminded me that Elphaba is a child. Elphaba is like 18, 19 years old, going off to uni, and all she wants is for her dad to like her. That is all she wants. She is just a child who wants her dad to love her. And it was heartbreaking. It was absolutely heartbreaking. And it was beautiful, and it was ugly, and it was transfixing. Any time she was on that screen, I could not take my eyes off her. I just have no words. She was just that good. I also really, really like that she chose to be green. So they originally were going to green screen it. They were originally going to CGI her being green, but she was like, absolutely not. If we're doing this, we're doing it properly. And she chose to be green. And I think that really, really helped bring us into the world and make it feel more realistic, because as good as CGI is these days, you can tell when something's CGI'd. And even though she's green, she's a witch, like she can fly and do magic, like there's things that are just not realistic about it. I think that if she was CGI'd, would have pulled us out of that a bit. We'd just be really aware that she was CGI'd. Does that make sense? I also can't not mention the way that she did Dancing Through Life. Usually on the West End, they play it as if it's a joke, as if she doesn't care. She's like, I don't care what you think, I'm going to dance anyway. But Cynthia chose to play it in such a humbling, heartbreaking, beautiful way. And I know I've said heartbreaking so many times, but it just was. Watching her do that dance and just show us that she's trying, and she doesn't want to be lonely, and she doesn't want people to hate her. She absolutely wants the opposite. And watching her fight back the tears, and those were real tears. Watching her fight back those tears as she just searches for acceptance. I think that's something that we can all relate to. We can all relate to trying to fit in at one point or another. So watching her go through that, ugly tears. She was crying, Ariana Grande was crying, I was crying. It was just, oh, it really, really got me in my feels. And that scene was so beautiful when Ariana Grande comes in and joins her, and they do the little dance together. And like, you really see, because obviously Elphaba doesn't know that Elphaba doesn't know that Glinda's setting her up with this ugly hat. Elphaba's like, oh my gosh, she did a nice thing for my sister. Like, have I actually finally got a friend? And now she's given me this hat. And Elphaba's got her into the sorcery classes as a thank you. And she's really excited to go out and have fun and make friends, just to find out that she's actually been betrayed and it was actually a cruel joke. The absolute heartbreak and humiliation, and she really played it. I really saw every milligram of emotion from both of those actresses in that moment, and it was beautiful to watch. Absolutely beautiful. Their chemistry together was it was just off the charts. Their chemistry, the way they played against each other, the way obviously they're both vocal powerhouses, but the way they sang together and changed their voices so their voices would blend better together. They just really, really cared, and they really, really tried, and it really, really shows. But I will say, so this isn't anything specifically to do with her performance, because as I said, women can do no wrong, and I loved her. Elphaba's nails. Now, I don't know if anybody else noticed this, but I don't remember when it was, but there was a definite point where I was watching it and going, why are Elphaba's nails so long? Like, they weren't that long a minute ago. Like, what is going on? I read an article and it said that Cynthia Erivo really wanted Elphaba's nails to grow with her character. So as Elphaba grew, so did her nails. And I think that was a nice touch. I don't have anything against that. What I had a problem with is that it was never mentioned beforehand. So I was watching the movie going, what is happening? And like, it took me out of it a little bit because I was unaware of what was going on. And then all of a sudden she just had like talon claw things. So it was a really nice touch, but it was a weird touch to keep a secret. I just don't understand why they didn't tell us that until after, because it really did. I just noticed it and I was very confused by it while in the show, and it gave me something, and it just made me like, it took me out of it for a second while I was thinking about it, and I didn't want to be taken out of it. I wanted to be in it 100%, you know? And I know we've touched on it before, but I think we obviously have to talk about Defying Gravity. You cannot talk about Wicked and not talk about Defying Gravity. So apart from the fact that she was flying, holding a broomstick, in a harness, in a corset, and singing live, it was incredible. It was absolutely incredible. And I know that a lot of people were mad that they changed the riff. So we found out that the riff was getting changed about 6 months ago, I'd say, and there was quite a lot of like uproar online with people going, "Oh, you can't change the riff, like how dare you change the riff in Defying Gravity." And I'm not particularly a musical theatre purist. If you want to change the riff, change the riff. I don't care as long as it sounds good. But I completely understand why some people would be annoyed by it, because in general, if we're going to see a movie musical or a movie version of a musical, we want to see the musical that we love exactly the same, just in a movie. And obviously Defying Gravity is the most famous song from Wicked, so finding out that they changed it, I get it. I do get it. I didn't personally care, but I get why some people did. If you have seen that movie and you are still annoyed that they changed the riff, could you let me know why? Because the riff that she did was so guttural and it was so powerful, and it was like she was squeezing out every single bit of anxiety and angst and fear and happiness and freedom. Every single emotion that she was feeling came out through her mouth, and that is the noise that those emotions made. And it was fantastic. It was absolutely fantastic. And do I think if she would have done the riff that it's usually, do I think that would have worked with how she played it? I don't think it would have. I don't think it would have had the same effect. It would have been great. It would have been nostalgic. We would have loved it. But I don't think it would have had as much guttural power as the riff that she chose to do. So I completely get why she changed the riff. I also didn't mind at all that Defying Gravity was cut into sections, because I think those sections, although they were mostly silence, they didn't have any extra words in them, they really gave us an insight into how every single character in that movie, in that scene, was feeling. It really gave us a bit more context to everything. And I think you've got to remember, a lot of people have never seen Wicked before. They don't know what's happening. They don't know who these characters are. And I think that it added something, added to the experience, and gave us more insight into every single person as an individual and their feelings. But overall, I just think Cynthia Erivo is an absolute force to be reckoned with, a powerhouse, one of the best performing artists of all time, and I'm so glad that she's finally getting the recognition she deserves. She is such a huge inspiration to me, and I'm sure to millions of other little black girls that look like what we look like, come from where we come from, and to be able to look at a screen and see somebody that came from your background, looks like you, your exact circumstances, make it and have this mega success. It really does give you hope, even if that's not what you want to go into. You don't have to want to go into musical theatre or singing. You could want to be an accountant or a lawyer or something, but it just gives you hope to feel that you can do it too. And I know that is quite deep as a takeaway from a casting in a musical theatre movie, but it really is that deep. She is an absolute huge inspiration, and I'm so happy that she is finally getting the recognition she deserves. Overall, I think the Wicked movie was absolutely incredible. I 100% would go and see it again. It is one of the best pieces of theatre for screen I've ever seen in my life, and I watch every single musical that comes out, okay? I think not enough people are talking about how incredible the ensemble were. Singers, the dancers, the actors, everybody, whether you were in that movie for 10 minutes or 10 seconds, come to the front, take your bow. Because without you, the movie would not have been as good as it was. And don't get me wrong, I know you need the leads in order to move the story along. I get it. But without the ensemble could make or break a piece like this. It really is an ensemble piece. And the ensemble smashed it. They absolutely smashed it. Every single one of them. And I just feel like of all of the reviews that I've read or seen, I've not seen anybody talk about the ensemble. And I think it's a really big shame, because they absolutely freaking smashed it. I also want to mention the supporting actors. In my personal opinion, why wasn't Kayla Seattle Madame Morrible? It makes no sense. Like, what a waste of Kayla Seattle. Like, why is she just there going, "I'll do it, sir"? Like, what? It didn't make sense. I also really didn't like Jeff Goldblum. I just thought, to me, it felt like he didn't have any lines. It just felt like his script just said vamp. And that Glinda and Elphaba had lines and they were in charge of moving the story along. And he was just saying whatever he felt like based on what they said. It wasn't it. I just didn't get it. I didn't like the way he played the character at all. I tell you who was. Jonathan Bailey. Why is he not more famous? Like, I know we know him from Bridgerton, but that's literally it. The man can sing, the man can dance, the man can act, the man can do backflips. He's insane. Like, and I thought he had a stunt double. I was shocked, flabbergasted when I found out that it was actually him doing all of it. I just thought that he was absolutely incredible. Like, the bit where he was like surfing the books, and the bit where he was like lifting the books open with his toes, that's actually him. Like, he's actually just opening and flipping books with his feet. Like, I know it sounds silly, but that's so cool. I've never particularly been like the biggest fan of Fiyero, and I'm not even like a big fan of like Jonathan Bailey, like from Bridgerton. I'm like, he's okay, but Jonathan Bailey as Fiyero, he's doing bits. Man is doing bits. And I just think that we need to give that man credit where credit is due, and we all need to be putting some respect on his name, because he is absolutely phenomenal. And he deserves way more recognition and way more fame than he has. I genuinely don't get why he's not more famous than he is. He was absolutely brilliant. With that being said, though, was there something about the Wicked movie that I didn't like? Of course there was. I didn't understand why everything needed to be street dance. Why was everybody pop, locking, dropping? And again, do not get me wrong, the dancers were incredible and they did the dancing so well. I just didn't like the dance itself. I didn't understand why it needed to be hip hop. What is wrong with just giving me some quintessential musical theatre jazz style dancing? Give me a high kick, a tour on l'air, I don't know, just give me something quintessential musical theatre, quintessential jazz dancing. It just bothered me a bit. I was really missing it. And I think because they kept the score and the music pretty much exactly the same, the dancing didn't match up necessarily with the style of music that was being played. I just didn't get it, and I didn't understand the point. And again, everyone doing it did it well. I just didn't like the dance, and I didn't understand why it needed to be like that. But to bring it back around to a positive, the scream. I almost screamed in that cinema when Idina Menzel and Kristen Chenoweth came on. Am I the only person in the world that didn't know that they were making cameos in this movie? And when Idina Menzel did the riff, absolute pinch me what the actual heck just happened moment. That made me so happy, and I really liked their little edit added extra bit was really, really fun and really, really silly, and it was just a really nice extra added moment. And I know a lot of people were complaining that it was so long, but I can't think of anything that they could have taken out to make it shorter. I think every single thing that they added needed to be in there, because again, you've got to remember, a lot of people will go in to see this and they don't know the backstory. They've never seen Wicked. They're not into musicals. They don't know anything about it. Without all of that added extra stuff, these people wouldn't know anything and they would be completely lost. And I think every single bit in it needed to be in it. Nothing needed to be cut out of that movie. And I was also one of those people that was quite annoyed that it was in two parts. But after watching it, it needed to be in two parts. Splitting it in half just meant that they were able to really take their time and do the whole story justice. They didn't cut out any songs, which obviously most musical movies do, and they usually cut out the best ones. Having it in two parts really, really allowed them to make sure that they were exploring everything and leaving no stone unturned. And talking about leaving no stone unturned, they literally built everything. Nothing was CGI. Well, maybe some stuff were, but like Shiz was completely built. Like the boats when they come in water, that's all there. The university was all there. When Elphaba is running around, Shiz singing The Wizard and I, she literally is running around the university because that is all there. And I think that again really, really helped to keep you and keep me in the world and make it seem real. And because it felt so real, everything was, all of the emotions felt so real, and my reactions and my feelings towards all of these things were even bigger because it was just all so real, and it just felt like I was actually there, and it felt like there was nothing that could possibly take me out of this experience because it was all happening. But overall, as I said, I absolutely loved it. It was an absolutely beautiful piece of theatre. The casting team did an absolutely amazing job. The directing team, it just felt like everybody involved in this movie really, really cared about it. It didn't feel like anybody was in it just to make money. It felt like every single person was in it to make it as good as it can be, and they really, really did. I just personally cannot wait for the second half. Am I annoyed that I have to wait a year before I get the second half? Yes. Yes, I am. Will I be first in line to see it in a year's time? Yes. Yes, I will. But please do let me know your thoughts in the comments. I want to know if you agreed with me, if you disagreed with me, what you liked, what you didn't like. Let's have a chat. Let's discuss it. But let's keep it nice, people, please. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.